we are becoming more rigidly stratified than we should be. And you've got to ask yourself why that is. And why aren't we seeing the same kind of social mobility that we saw in the 1960s and 1950s?
But what Nick actually asks is what you're going to do about it.
Well, one thing I think you should do is look at the quality of education that everybody gets in our city and the ambition and the aspiration they have. This morning, I went to an absolutely incredible school run by Katharine Birbalsingh in North London. Absolutely amazing. Do anybody know who Katharine Birbalsingh? Absolutely incredible school. They were learning stuff off by heart. They were learning the huge screeds of poetry, their times tables. They were learning yards of Shakespeare, goodness knows what, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. And what she is trying to do in give those kids the kind of disciplined education that they could get in the sorts of schools that you mentioned is being bitterly resisted by the educational establishment. And they hate that kind of stuff. They hate that approach to rote learning and to discipline and memorizing stuff and memorizing. I'm afraid, I think, yes, it is the way forward.
Right.
I think she is completely right.
Okay.
And the kids in her school were from every minority in London. They were from every socio-economic group. There were kids from the poorest backgrounds that you could imagine, and they were absolutely glowing with optimism about what they could achieve in that school.
Okay. And
I think that is what we need. That is what we need in London. And actually, London schools are getting better, but we need to fight the sort of complacency of the educational establishment, who think that, you know, you've got to let kids find the answers within themselves. On education, the schools revolution that we've led, epitomised by Katharine Birbalsingh's incredible times-table-spouting, Shakespeare-reciting school in Brent. Those policies are creating opportunity where there was none.
It's not just that their pupils are learning Ozymandias, they did. Alex Ozymandias. They could all recite this, by the way. They could all recite this. They could recite all 32 lines of If by Rudyard Kipling. They could recite the whole of Invictus by W.E. Henley. You know, it matters not how straight the gate and all that sort of stuff. I am the master of my fate. They could recite 12 lines from Julius Caesar about cowards dying many times before their deaths. And this wasn't just the brightest kids, right? This was every single one of them accumulating a mental treasure house that they will never lose. And they're learning something, the kids in that school in Brent, they're learning something even more important. They're learning the natural self-esteem that comes from genuine academic achievement. They're learning not just how to achieve, but how to use their knowledge, but the thing that comes first, they're learning to want to achieve. They're learning aspiration. And Katharine Birbalsingh herself describes it in language that would, of course, earn the scorn of the lefty educationalists. Basically what she says is, with the help of discipline and competition and the acquisition of knowledge, they are, and I quote her, putting on a suit of armour, bit by bit. And they're becoming stronger and stronger, more and more intellectually resilient and able to take on anything that life throws at them. Now, the other day I was at a school in Brent, and I was taken aback to be corrected by a young pupil on a point of Roman history. And I thought, you know, I'm well used, obviously, to being stumped by school kids, like all politicians. Does the Queen have a golden loo seat? What does Nick Clegg really do? What are 7/8? Thank you. Yes, every politician has to know 7/8. And this was he asked me a question. I was asked a question on a subject area where I felt I really ought to know my stuff. The kid was only 11, and the school in question is one where kids have every possible index of social deprivation. They have 50% pupil premium, 28% free school meals, drawn from every permutation of family background, one of the most ethnically diverse boroughs anywhere on earth. They're descended from Somalians and Sri Lankans and Indians and Nigerians and Jamaicans and St. Lucians and Poles and Romanians and Nepalese and Colombians and Brazilians and Portuguese and others. They are about 40% Afro-Caribbean, 40% Asian, 20% white working class. And in the proud words of their head teacher, I don't have a single white middle-class kid in the school. And yet they were shining with enthusiasm for learning and gasping with muffled excitement and biting their tongues if they knew the answer. And I watched with growing amazement as they translated a fairly difficult passage of French in good accents, very good accents. They then chanted the answers to times tables, 12s. Alex is the only one following this so far. With perfect success. And then, this is where I came unstuck, the teacher bowled them some dates from history. When was Julius Caesar killed? 44 BC, absolutely. It's only man following this so far in the front row. Well, 44 BC, give the coconut to Alex. What was the date of the conversion of the Roman Empire to Christianity? One kid put his hand up and said 313 AD. And I tell you, I want you to know, I felt a bit smug at that point. And I said, with all the confidence that comes with a degree in literae humaniores, I said, actually, this is a terrible thing to do, but I said, actually, I think it was 312. Because that was the date of the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, wasn't it? When Constantine looked up and he saw the cross in the clouds. Yes? But the little guy stuck to his guns. And he said, no, it was 313. And you know what? I Googled it, and he was absolutely right. Because that 313 was indeed the year of the Edict of Milan, and from which we date the conversion of the empire. And I have to say, as I sat with those 11, 12-year-olds, and they told me about their ambitions. At the age of 11, to be lawyers, doctors, politicians, they all wanted to be mayor for some reason, Oxbridge graduates. I felt, like Constantine himself, in that moment of dumbstruck revelation, when the clouds parted and he saw the gleaming message from on high. I saw the way forward for our city and our country. And I came out of that school a convert to the approach of Katharine Birbalsingh, and I want to evangelize for her today and all who share her attitudes, with its emphasis on knowledge and on discipline. Because I have never seen any other single institution in London that was so dramatically tackling the problems of our society. I've never seen any single program that was so likely to succeed in reducing inequality and encouraging social mobility.